Okay guys, so the last element that the last selector we're going to take a look at is querySelectorAll. And this basically replaces the need for get elements by class name or by tag names, elements. Okay, so get elements. So let's cut out this selector and paste it in here. And now let's take a look at querySelectorAll. So by definition, the document method querySelectorAll returns a static not live node list representing a list of the document's elements that match the specific group of selectors. And with this being said, this is basically the same thing as querySelector, but this just selects everything, and we're going to use the same selectors as in CSS. And by selectors, so let's define this again. A DOM string contains one or more selectors to match against. This string must be valid CSS selector. Okay, so if it's not, then a syntax error expression is returned. So once again, these need to be valid CSS selectors. So let's create a const and let's say all items. Let's call it all items. And I'll scale bound from the document using querySelectorAll dot querySelectorAll. And once again, I'm going to first of all select a tag, so the UL, and within this, the DOM, let's say the DOM, capital DOM, definition items. Okay, so let's hit save and let's console log this. Let's see what we got. So all items. Okay, so we got one. Now let's go further and select from the li the class of DOM definition item. Okay, so now let's take a look at this. We have now two items. So within, let's go with within the UL with the class of DOM definition items. Okay, so this one up here, we selected, as you can see here, we selected the LIs with the classes of DOM definition item. Okay, and as you can see, this time we're getting a node list. So once the node list of matching elements is returned, you can examine it just like any array. If the array is empty, that is, if its length property is null, then no matches were returned. So we have the length is 2, we have 2 matches returned for our selector. Otherwise, you can simply use standard array notifications to access the content of the list, but in our case, it's working. So let's just grab onto all items and do a for each loop again. So for each, and let's create a function. This is requiring a callback function for each item. Let's say console log item dot class name. So we can see clearly the class name. So we have two DOM definition items. Okay, let me actually comment this class, this console log up there out. So we got two DOM definition items. Now, once again, we could select them and let's say that item dot inner HTML. Let's change its name to Laura. Okay, so both of them are changed to Laura. If I would now take item dot inner text and let's assign this to the string of Arabella. Okay, so they will be both changed to Arabella. Now, let's say we want to select, so this is just a good example for some things that we can do in CSS, we can also do in JavaScript. Let's say you want to select some odds and evens. So, you know, in CSS, you could go li and nth child, and then select the odds, and do the same thing for the evens. Okay. Well, we can do the same thing in CSS, in JavaScript. So let's say, let's create a const of list items, and we call them odds. And let's get from the document dot querySelector all. We're going to select all of our li tags, but now we're going to use the nth. So nth child, and let's select all of the odds. Okay, so if I would console log this, let me just copy this in, and actually let me comment this to out. So we are getting, let's go quickly over them, odd, 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 and odd. Okay, now let's do something with them. For example, I could use a for each loop again. So let's go with them, and let's say for each let's type in here a callback function. So for each li, just got li, within our for each loop, we want to take this li, which are odd, and let's style them. What the hell? Let's give them a background color of red. Okay, so if I hit save, each odd would have a background color of red. Now let's, for example, if I would go with a for loop, let's say let I equal to 0 to O, and as long as I is less than items odd dot length, and we would increment I plus plus. Let's say that list items I dot style dot color dot console color, and we'll give them just a black color. Okay, so if we hit save, now we use the for each loop, and now we're using just a for loop, and we're getting the same results. Okay, now let's take, for example, the evens. So we can also do that. So if I would take this const and just replace this with evens, and down here we need the even. Okay, so we're selecting the same thing, and we could do the two loops again. So for I'm gonna replace instead of odds even and even, and let's replace this with green and this with blue. Okay, so that's it. We look for our evens and we look for our odds, and we change the background colors and colors of the text. Okay, guys, so that's pretty much it for selectors. We'll get more deep into this. Actually, in almost each and every project, we'll use them. But for now, that's it. So see you in the next one. Bye-bye.